Hello, I am Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, an optometric physician in practice for over 33 years now and a carnivore for 15 and a half years. So I am very passionate about sharing my knowledge of what I've learned over these years, both as an eye doctor and as a carnivore and as a let's just say biohacking junkie, just to get more and more information in on how to optimize health. So in today's video, I have been working really hard to answer some questions that have come about from this, a lot of what I post about with the sunlight and not blocking the sunlight and not being really dependent on our sunglasses. And I've gotten a lot of questions about what about contact lenses? What about intraocular lenses that get implanted during cataract surgery? And what about my eyeglasses? So I'm going to try to answer a lot of different questions in this video about all of those things. And well, let me just go back here. Looking at this, remember that eye is connected to the brain. And that's why this is so critical that we understand the relationship of light with our eyes, with our skin, and our brains. And don't take it lightly. Don't think that our eyes are just for vision. There's so many photoreceptors in there and just neurological receptors also that are controlling our circadian rhythm. It controls a lot of things. So I'm going to try to not get so in the weeds with the scientific details. I want to give you the information just so that you can go forward with knowledge of really why you want to do this and why you want to pay attention to this. So thank you for joining me in the live section chat here. And I see here, yes, you're making some comments about Dr. Jack Cruz. Just lots of information about the light diet, you know, what we should be paying attention to as far as light. Okay, so let me get through where I'm going with this. I'm going to make this larger here so that you can see. This is always interesting to me to kind of get a scale here of the light waves that we're talking about and the visible light spectrum, the ultraviolet light spectrum, and the infrared you see are on either side of the visible light spectrum. And just so that we can kind of start to get an understanding of why we're talking about how important these different wavelengths of light are and how that is what is actually signaling to our brains. So morning sun in particular, if there's going to be one sun exposure that you prioritize, it should be the morning one. I say that you need morning light, midday, and sunset light. But if there's one that you should really prioritize, it is that morning one. And the infrared light in particular after sunrise, really 1 to 2 hours after sunrise is lots of infrared light. And it is really helpful for our immune systems, for our mental, emotional system, and neurotransmitters. There's so much benefit to it. And like I said, I'm not gonna be pulling a 2 or 3 hour Andrew Huberman type scientific explanation here, but I'm going to just try to emphasize certain aspects of what I've looked into that I find really important. And this is really one of them. And all of the studies in the dermatology and ophthalmology literature citing the harms of UV light were conducted with UV light in isolation. And that's an important factor to remember and consider. despite sunlight being less than 10% UV light and over 50% red and infrared light. So that's really an important fact to understand. The same literature tells us that red and infrared light protect against UV induced cellular damage. The truth of the matter is that sunlight is protective against all of the chronic diseases: autoimmune, diabetes, obesity, cancer, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative diseases. And moreover, UV light is of utmost importance, specifically as we know that vitamin D status is associated with many of these diseases, while vitamin D supplementation provides virtually no benefit. Another reason why, when asked and people say, don't you take vitamin D supplements, it's a big capital N-O. Vitamin D is a biomarker of your UV exposure. So let's look at sunlight as a nutrient, and going all the way from infrared all the way down to UVA and UVB, you can see all the different specific benefits that you get from each of the different wavelengths of sunlight. So I'll leave this up here a moment. You can screenshot it, but go down the rabbit hole and start understanding how extremely important and extremely beneficial sunlight is. Now, since we've talked about how much we want sunlight in our eyes and on our skin, here's the big question. Do my clear eyeglasses block that UV from coming into my eyes? Yes, the answer is yes. And it's really an interesting concept that a lot of people have a hard time with, that these clear prescription glasses that you see right here that many wear block as much UV as sunglasses. So here, these can both block the same amount of UV. It is not the dark brown or dark green or dark gray tint of the sunglass that is what's blocking the UV. A lot of UV coatings and UV protection, they're clear. And a lot of times if you're getting a new pair of glasses and they say, oh, we can put a UV coating on it and on a regular pair of prescription clear glasses, and they do that a lot. But inherent in just the different types of plastics, as I wrote here, most spectacle glasses are made out of one of 4 or 5 different plastics. There's polycarbonate, there's CR39, there's different plastics, high index plastics that regular eyewear is made out of, all of which block about 95 to 98% of the UV light. And, tints, so these dark tints, they're just helping with the glare. They are not actually doing the blocking of the UV rays, but inherent in the plastic of the sunglass is the blocking of it, and sometimes with polarization and extra coatings, UV coatings, that they put on these sunglasses to get them fully 100% UV blocking. Tints don't reflect how well the lenses block the UV light. Sunglass lenses are treated with UV absorbing chemicals, and these chemicals are usually colorless. So clear lenses can block UV just as well as dark lenses. It's very interesting, and it's a hard concept to understand because we're all thinking and taught, or what is thought is really that it's the sunglasses, the dark glasses, that's blocking the sun and blocking the dangerous UV radiation, right? So I say, take these off, let the light in. Both contacts and glasses are pretty much blocking the beneficial light. And why I lump in the contact lenses is because most of them block UV. So here, do all contact lenses block UV? No. And I have been asked so many times about this, as far as, All right, so which contacts should I be wearing that don't block the UV? And that's a very difficult question for me to answer and to expect you for me to say, oh, this brand doesn't block UV. And now what? Do you have to go to your eye doctor, get a trial pair, get fit, make sure they're moving correctly? So this isn't just something where going to 1-800 contacts and saying, "Ooh, I'm just going to get my prescription in this." So so for that reason, it's not an easy one to answer. But that's not to say we can't have the knowledge of which contacts currently don't block UV. And when you go to your eye doctor, say, is there a way I can be refit into these? And that is very possible. So another drawback for me answering the question is it's very time sensitive. What is not blocking UV today? I don't know. 3 months from now, 8 months from now, the company might add um, the into the polymer the UV blocking chemical. So I'm going to though tell you because I've told you before, I wear one contact on one eye that has my reading prescription in it. So yes, I have done my research to find a contact that does not block UV. So for the most part, when I'm outdoors, at least, well, the one eye has no contact, but in any case, it's not easy to get that information. And you know why? Because as soon as you put in UV contact lens or what contact lens does not block UV, they're throwing at you all these contact lens companies that are marketing that, yay for us, we block the UV. Your contacts are awesome. You're protecting your eyes by not getting UV in. And it's very difficult to find ones that don't block the UV. But I have access to certain databases as an eye doctor that I've gone through diligently, and I've made a list for those of you contact lens wearers. So this is a really interesting one, and I found this very perplexing, but Total Dailies 1, that's what the name of this one, it just says Total 1, but it's Dailies Total 1. There, see where I have UV blocked and no UV blocker? It looks like the same box, the same brand. Well, up in that top one, you'll see that little, here, maybe it'd be nice of me to make it bigger, little green word up there that says astigmatism. So if you happen to be in the Total One contact lens and you have an astigmatism and your doctor has you in this lens to get you clearer vision, the UV's getting blocked on that. But on the bottom one, the regular, what we call spherical contact lens, that lens does not have UV blocker in it. So really interesting. So I took a couple screenshots here. See where it says Dailies Total One for astigmatism on the bottom there. And this is their whole little promo thing on the website, UV blocking, HEVL filtering. And so it's it's very perplexing how different contacts of the same brand are yes and a no on the blocking. Now, AccuView, across the board, they've been a long time. They were, I think, the original ones to block the UV. And it's really the only brand that across the board of their entire product line. So it makes it easy for me to tell you if you're wearing an AccuView lens, whether it's a daily lens, a 2-week disposable, whatever it is in the line of AccuViews, you are in a UV blocking lens. All right, so now here's the list that I came up with, and I did not make a list of ones that block UV because other than these lenses, I'm going to tell you all the other, and I really only went through dailies. I didn't go through every type of soft contact, monthly, 2-week, because most are transitioning into dailies. I only wear dailies, and I mainly just fit dailies now because I think they're the healthiest to be able to toss your lens out each day. So Of the dailies, here we go. These are the ones with no specific UV blocking agent. So the one I was just showing you before, Alcon dailies total 1, the spherical only. They make a daily multifocal and they make the daily astigmatism lens. Both of those block UV. Just the spherical non-astigmatism lens has no UV blocker. The company Cooper makes My Sight One Day. They also make My Day. They also make Pro Clear One Day. And all three of those lenses that they produce have no UV blocker. And this other one is not as well known of a contact, although I really do like the this brand, Extreme H2O by XL. And I was happy to see that they also do not put UV blocker in their lenses. So here I wrote information as of today, September 17th, because this information might, easily change, and you have to be aware of that. So I'm just putting this up there as a starting point for you. All right. So now, what about cataracts? And there's a lot of people who are concerned once they get cataract surgery or they've already had cataract surgery, and when they remove the cloudy lens, they implant a acrylic polymer lens replacement called an IOL, an intraocular lens. And I'm going to tell you, this was a tough one to research. So let's just first look at this, where I am talking here about the lens collagen proteins oxidize in that clear lens that we're born, our clear crystalline lens, and gets cloudy. And I've done a lot of looking into this, as far as I do believe it's a combination of both diet, sugars, grains, seed oils, processed foods, and the chronic exposure that we have to artificial blue light that has never been before in history as much as it is now. We basically, wake up in our home and we jump into our car, and then we drive to an office that also has a lot of artificial blue light. And what happens when we are perpetually in front of our laptops and in front of our tablets and in front of our screens, our phones, right? And on top of that, the lighting, the LED lights, we have a toxic load of unbalanced blue light. Hence why we should be wearing our blue blocking glasses. And I have become much more diligent, and I'm paying a lot more attention to this as time has gone on, and I am waking up to what is really happening as far as the amount of unnatural light and the amount of time we no longer spend outside. So just think it's really important that we start really paying attention to this. So here, this is the tough part with the cataract surgery and the IOL, the intraocular lenses that go in. So here you can see I did I put up this picture, Alcon, which they're a big company that makes a lot of intraocular lenses. It's new ultraviolet absorbing only intraocular lens options. And you'll see, and then I'll show you, I dug deep into some studies. So here, I'm going to put the link to this study down below, but here it's ultraviolet or blue filtering intraocular lenses. What's the evidence? And digging deep, it was really hard to find what actually is ideal. Our own natural crystalline lens that we're born with, that we live with, and hopefully keep and have clear our whole lives, but that lens naturally blocks between about 300 and 400 nanometer wavelength. And I was trying really hard to go into a few different companies who manufacture these IOLs to see how much blocking and what wavelength spectrum they block. And I dug into some of these studies about how they did studies about how they don't disrupt the circadian rhythm, and I don't know what to think or what to believe or who funds the studies. And so I'm going to leave this one just as a question mark, because here's the thing. If you have not yet had cataract surgery, so maybe you're somebody like me, pretty much in our 50s and our 60s, we've probably been eating poorly enough most of our lives and being exposed without wearing our blue blocking glasses for a lot of our adult life. And we probably already have the starts of cataracts. And we want to really just try to do everything we can to prevent the progression of that. And that's the, I guess, what I'm going to say is my my answer for this is prevention. And if you've already had cataract surgery, you're not going in there surgically to have them remove it and try to find a manufacturer that has a spectrum that you're more prefer, forget that. We just have to optimize where we're at. So here I am talking about blocking the toxic blue light every day. So here I'm wearing, so I'm going to show you, like I have some different, here, I'll put myself a little. So I I did a lot of research because there's a lot of blue blocker scam companies out there. I would not get junky, what I call junky, but cheap blue blocker off of Amazon, because I've seen enough of the studies and them actually measuring what it blocks and what it doesn't and things like that. So you really want to go with a company that you trust is making a good quality lens. And I'm just going to tell you what I do. So anytime during the day that I can take my laptop and work outside, that's ideal. But winter's coming here in New Jersey, and that's really not going to be possible. But so when I'm indoors and I have a disproportionate amount of blue light coming into my eyes, I wear lenses. Oh, I didn't even bring. And then once the sun's, I wear the yellow. And then once the sun has set, I wear the darker orange, because then you want to mimic that there should be no blue light coming in, blue or green. So these come as a no prescription. They come as a custom ordered your exact prescription. And they also come as readers where you can get a +1 1/4 or a +2 and just hunker down and be able to use these as your reading glasses too. So I will put a link. I have, I think it's a 15% discount code if you want to look at the options of this company that I wear. So let me keep going here. So this is the darker orange color. They have quite a selection of different frames. And like I said, these come in readers or no prescription. And there's the initial thought was, okay, I'm going to wear these and improve my sleep, because of the whole melatonin issue. But it goes far beyond just the sleep issue. So I have been really diligent about protecting my eyes and my brain from all this excess blue light. Why? Because you know what? I spend a lot of time with what I do. I spent a good 6 hours today working on these graphics and doing the research of the contacts. And that's a lot of blue light coming in my eyes. So I know some of you go to an office and you're in front of a computer screen. Get yourself protection. Over the long haul, you're going to be really benefiting from that. Now, to go another step further, and I used to think this was kind of a little crazy when I first heard of some people who do this, but changing out light bulbs in your house to be the red ones and all that. But I have to say, so what I'm showing here, so this is a motion detector red light, and it's rechargeable. And I have one propped up against my in my kitchen. I have one uh, in my bathroom, and I have one in my bedroom. And I turn the lights out in my house once the sun goes down. I don't know if that seems strange to a lot of people. It definitely seems strange to me. But these are red motion sensor night lights, and I think they're um, pretty beneficial. Here we go. This is natural and normal. The fire is just so soothing and great color spectrum for your eyes. The sunrise, and here's some more sunrises and sunsets. And this is what we need. We need to be outside. We spend way, way too much time indoors, and it's so not healthy for both our eyes and our brains, both emotionally and physically. Our bodies are geared to be outside. So this was something that I had posted on Instagram. I pulled this graphic. Go outside for about at least 20 to 30 minutes within 20 to 30 minutes of waking. Hopefully, it's somewhere close to sunrise. I know it's not always possible. Spend at least 1 to 2 hours outside at some point in the middle of the day. And then at the end of the day, face toward the west during dusk for some sunset light into your eyes. And just remember, I'm going to say that people will say, and I didn't look over in the chat yet, but I am going to head over there in a minute. But people will say, well, I can't see without my glasses or contacts. So you go outside, get a chair propped out there and sit and hang out with no glasses, no contacts. I have a friend who has a pretty strong prescription, but she walks her dog. I mean, she has her glasses like up on the top of her head, but the dog's a pretty good seeing eye dog. Keeps on the sidewalk. It knows the path, but do what you can just to at least get some exposure. If you're in the car, the windshield blocks the UV anyway, so go ahead and be comfortable and be safe. It's fine to wear your sunglasses if you're out on the water with a lot of glare. I'm not telling people to never wear their sunglasses. I'm not telling people to not wear their prescription glasses. I just want you to have the knowledge that it's really beneficial to pay attention to the light signals that your eyes and your brain really need. So that's where I'm going with this. And I just wanted to answer questions that people had, regarding the contact lenses and the intraocular lenses. So I hope I answered your questions, and I'm going to go over into the chat just to see. I know some of you were talking about Dr. Cruz. Yeah, I'm going to put a link to these exact ones. I've actually bought a few different ones, and I was not happy with a couple of them because they didn't seem to charge well, or went defunct. But these have been good. This comes as a pack of 4, and I'm going to link the exact one that I got here because it's great. It's just rechargeable and it lasts a pretty long time. There's a setting to be solid on, solid off, or put in auto mode, which I just leave it in auto mode so that when I walk by, they turn on and it's bright enough for sure that I can do whatever I need to do. Oh yeah. And so Anita says Jack Cruz has a company that invented laptop without blue light. I've heard him talk about that. I don't know whether that's just a prototype or right now, or if it's out, but old habits die hard when you've, got a whole Apple system and all your devices interconnect. It would probably be tough jumping over to a blue light free laptop. And I'll probably end up sticking with using the glasses to block the blue light, but it's a great option. So I'm going to put a link to both my blue blockers and that that light, and I'll have that in right after I get off of here. Um, okay, so opinion of the natural daylight spectrum lamps for winter seasonal affective disorder. Here in the Northeast, winters can be gloomy for weeks on end. Yeah, I agree. I believe that as long as it's um, here's the thing. Okay, what type of bulb is it? I have the Spurty vitamin D lamp because I'm such a proponent of it's either got to be sunlight or the UV the bulbs and not supplementation. So, but I do believe, and then here's the other thing, Mary. There's also I know that's a big controversial topic as far as even doing tanning beds to get light too. But um, just look into the type of bulb and go down the rabbit hole and try to get as much information as you can as to the specific lamp that you're purchasing. Um, okay, so Pocahontas says, I walk most every day. I have prescription glasses with no filtering of any blocking. So I'm not sure. So I guess you're saying when you went to the optician, you told them you wanted prescription glasses that have no UV blocking in it, but the majority of the plastics are all without putting any coating on them inherent in the plastic block 95 to 98%. CR39, which scratches easily and a lot of opticians don't use. It's a plastic called CR39. That one has a much smaller spectrum of what it blocks unless they put an additional clear coloring on it. I know this gets really confusing, all this stuff. Um, Let me just see. So Tammy says, can a person have something metabolically wrong that they don't absorb the rays to make vitamin D? Uh, that's an interesting question. There are certain, obviously there's probably a disorder for everything, but I have to believe that unless that's some sort of like congenital genetic malfunction, I have to believe that spending enough time outdoors that and it's harder for the darker your skin color, the more time you have to spend out in the sun. But they've shown that people who live down by the equator do not have a higher skin cancer rate. It's actually the opposite, and you can look at different skin cancer maps, geographic maps, and it doesn't correspond with that. But yeah, I know I got off on a tangent there with the vitamin D, but all right, I got that one. Let's see. Thanks so much for the info. You're welcome, Maria. It's important, and a lot of you have talked about Dr. Jack Cruz here in the chat, and um, he's a huge, huge amount of information that is so beneficial. And I highly recommend you start watching a lot of what he has to say, because he's all about decentralized medicine, decentralized banking, Bitcoin. He's in El Salvador. Uh, but he has a lot of really good information. So I'm glad a lot of you are already working on getting that information. Thanks, Shifting Realities. You get into the sun a lot living in Australia, haven't supplemented vitamin D in about 2 years and your levels are climbing. Yeah. So there is something to be said about building a solar callus. And for some people who burn, make sure you're not wearing sunglasses, because that's a surefire way to hedge your skin into uh, uh, lobster land, let's say. And just for people who say, well, I can't be out in the sun more than 2 minutes. Well, you know what? Start with 10 minutes in early morning or late afternoon and start building up from there and just work on it. Work on it like it's your job. It's a fun job. But yeah, you really want to work on being able to get a tan and remembering that what you eat has an impact also on your skin's ability to not burn if we keep the seed oils, the inflammatory seed oils out. A lot of people in this carnivore, meat based, animal based way of eating talk about how much it has changed for them as far as not burning nearly as much as they used to. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope this was helpful. If you find value in it, please hit the like, share it with a friend, and get more people on board understanding that we really, really do have to pay attention to our light environment. And hopefully, it will lead us all to better health and great vision, hopefully, for the rest of our lives. All right. Thanks. See you next time.